Arsenal against Crystal Palace, a talkSPORT exclusive, 12:30, and commentary from Sam Matterface, and alongside him, former Chelsea defender, and I love this guy, Scott Minto. Scott on talkSPORT duty as well. Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown is in studio with Simon and myself at this lunchtime. Martin, where's your beloved club going? I mean, when you look at it, Arsenal have never endured a worse 7-game run under Arteta. They've now lost their last 3 matches in all competitions. Losing 4 in a row. You got to go back to March 2018 for that. So why, to a degree, have the wheels fallen off?
Well, I think the team has been found out a little bit. It's become quite predictable. The opposition doubling up in wide positions, stopping those talented young players, Martinelli and Saka, from flourishing. And then, of course, collectively in front of goal, where there's been an issue in terms of scoring the goals. And then the confidence seems to have dried up. I know that you may look at that record and you say, OK, it's alarming. And, of course, it is. But I think the approach play was first class against Liverpool. And the way that they took Liverpool to task, we know they're top of the table. We know the quality of their team. There's not many teams that can do that. The killer instinct, Stuart Pearce said it in the commentary, that killer finish is where they need to change, and there needs to be that kind of nastiness in front of goal. If we look back to someone,
they haven't got the personnel, have they?
Well,
that is an oversight. I mean, Arteta has to be judged by the opportunity to win leagues now, because that's the space he's put him in. Mm-hmm. He spent 500 million pounds over the last 2 or 3 seasons, which is a hugely significant amount of money, and it's almost. I don't think you can win Premier Leagues without people that can score 20, 25 goals. And Arsenal don't have that. And there's no argument that they don't have it.
Well, you can if you're Man City, which they proved, didn't they?
But they're not doing it now, are they? It's moved on now.
Yeah,
they've got a goal scorer in there, and so have Liverpool, and so have other sides around them that are challenging for it. In this instance, the only ones that don't are Arsenal.
Well, I mean, you look at Havertz, and 9 goals from 49 games at Chelsea. You know that he's not prolific. Jesus was played out on the wing. So it was always going to be like a collective goals coming in from Arsenal, and they're all down at the moment. Everyone is down on their contribution.
Are they still in the title race?
What I would have looked at...
they're 4th at the moment. Are they in it?
We're in match day 21, by the way, so we're all on a winter break, would you believe? And we've only got two Premier League games this Saturday. So there's a bit of a break there, and Arsenal have been on that break, and they've been warm weather training away. I would have thought that was a moment to reset, to come back, to put the building blocks back in, to put the messages back in.
But answer my question,
to retain,
are they in the race?
I'm telling you what they've been doing the last number of days to get that belief. Yes, but they needed to go away, Jim. It's made
Are they in the race to win the title or not?
They're still in the race, 100%.
Right, okay. Do you think they'll win the league?
I didn't think they'd win at the start of the table.
No,
so I'm not saying anything differently here.
But
if you follow me closely enough.
I do follow you closely. That's why I get an opportunity to be able to discredit
Man City, I said at the start of the season, win the league.
The point is, they were top of the table on Christmas Day, Martin. They're 5 points adrift now of Liverpool. So
massively disappointing.
You have to think. I mean, I asked you a question that's maybe a bit unfair. The wheels coming off. The wheels aren't really off. They're still in there fighting.
Jim, you get knocked down, you get up again. This is about winning. You look back, and you look back over the teams that have been successful. Yeah, you learn a lot about the group when things aren't going so well. So what I'm talking about now is reinforcing the belief, regaining the confidence, putting the building blocks back in again. Now, I'm sure the messages would have been coming loud and clear when they were away and this training camp they've been on. They'll come back ready to go, Jim.
Do you think they'll win the Champions League?
No, I don't think they'll win the Champions League, but I think they're going to go. I think they can go a distance.
Do you think the owners think spending £250 million to at very best, which I don't think they'll do, stand still, is a good look?
I think there's a credit in standing still right now in the Premier League in terms of making it into the top 4. Okay. I think if you look at the competition now with Spurs re-emerging, Villa starting, Emery's done an exceptional job. They're in new territory, though. You could say that they're where Arsenal were, and you could say recently that Villa have fallen off a cliff a little bit because they weren't, used to the sort of expectations that come with playing there. The Arsenal players know that a little bit now. They've just fallen from a really good level.
But you accept that they're not good enough.
They're not good enough right now. And so but they're not out of the race. The fight is not over.
They're not out of the race, Martin, which begs this question. They're still there. They can still almost touch Liverpool. Should it be, in your view, Ivan Toney to the rescue?
No, I think that shoves the narrative. Because he's not going anywhere, Jim. If you look at his own situation, there's injury issues. Wissa, Mbeumo are injured at Brentford. Okay, that's a separate story.
He'll go, and Arsenal pays £1 million for him. Yeah, but he'll be gone.
We said Smith Rowe might be going somewhere else. Maybe they're out now, starting to actually try and accommodate that. They're trying to get the monies in
What
to
would it
actually
take?
make something.
But
What
is
would
it?
it take?
I think probably about 80 million. Is it not clear to you though? And I think it's not an attack on Mikel Arteta, because I'm a huge admirer of a lot of the things that he's done. Some of it not, most of it I am, right? Because I think he's brought life back into Arsenal and re-energised the football club, and I've seen it a couple of times for myself. But do you not think it's a huge oversight for somebody to spend 200 odd million pounds in the transfer window this summer and to have not fixed an ailment which is clearly evident that other clubs that they're rivaling have fixed themselves, which is a formidable forward line and one that can give one goal score 20, 25 goals a season? It's evident in Manchester City, it's evident in Liverpool, but it doesn't see, and of course the lack of a goal scorer at Chelsea compounds the issue for Chelsea. But do you not think
Arsenal spent 100 million plus on one player to play in midfield? Now, can you argue with me that you've seen many better Declan Rice this season?
But that's what about?
No, you're not talking. It's not fitting your argument.
That's what about.
So what they've done, they secured the midfield.
Clear and evident.
They didn't have two set. They couldn't have paid 100 million on another player to do the same up top.
That's one part
I
of the
don't think they had the
budgets.
revenue. Well,
they bought Havertz.
They went.
What's he a tax write-off? Come on now. They bought Havertz. Everybody knows, and perhaps they don't want to say it. Why would you spend £65 million on a project of being able to get something from Havertz that everyone else hasn't been able to get, when you clearly know that to win the competition that you're participating in, which ultimately is to be challenging for the Premier League, you needed goals. And you didn't have it. So it's on Arteta that...
Yeah, well, of course, he makes the decisions, but I think he's big enough to make them. I mean, we've already seen him make a lot of big decisions. Ozil, Aubameyang.
You didn't agree with them, though, did you?
I think there's only one or two players that are still there,
you didn't agree with
and
them
they're the
at the
kids.
time.
They're the kids, Martinelli and Saka. They're the players that are still at the club, and they're only there on performance. Everybody else is gone. This is a rebuilding now.
But
this
Mark,
is very
when
much
you were at
his
your
team.
height, mate, as an Arsenal invincible, look at the goal threat that team had.
Yeah, but Jim, look, let's have this conversation at the end of the season. But they're in a critical moment in the season. They have to respond. They cannot feel sorry for themselves, but they are not out of the race. And let's not start. Let's put people away at the end of the season, yeah, but not yet, because he's building something. Now, Havertz had 6 shots to go against Liverpool. We know that he should be more aggressive in front of goal. He's got to start taking those opportunities. I'm pretty certain that's sinking in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see how they respond.
The bookies,
Palace,
having
Jim,
said that, the bookies say it's Arsenal all the way against Palace.
You said that.
God,
You
yeah.
said
one.
Yeah,
you
but-
said that.
But that's
3-1.
But that's a different argument. I mean, if Martin thinks they're in a race, that's deluded. They're so far behind in the race. People, Martin thinks they're winning. Look, the bottom line is that
They're only 5 points
beating
behind.
Palace, yeah. But if you look at this, if you look at the performances of Arsenal, yes, it's wonderful that they build up play. That's called a fur coat with no knickers. It's wonderful they've got loads of build up play, but they can't.
There's a
put the
lot
ball
of clubs
back in
would
the
be
net.
happy with the way their approach play,
And that's fantastic. But we're not judging. We're not judging. Yeah, but you want to compare Arsenal to Palace? You want that conversation?
Well,
Don't
do
be
they-
silly.
do they spend
You
money
compare
at Palace?
Arsenal to Man United, to Manchester City or Liverpool, not Arsenal to Palace. Will Arsenal beat Palace on Saturday? Yeah. And should they beat Arsenal on Saturday? Should they beat Palace on Saturday? Yeah. What's the big deal about that? We're not talking about beating Palace. We're talking about beating the bigger
If they
guys.
don't win, it's over, isn't it? At the weekend.
Well,
It's
really?
that big for
It's
Arsenal.
only 23 games into the season.
You're
Let's
saying
not
it's
write
already,
them off now,
You're
Martin.
saying it's already over.
Tick tock, tick tock. There's lots
You're
of
saying
time
it's
to
already,
go.
Are you saying it's over for Arsenal?
Done. Not good
Well,
enough.
let's see then.
Stand still,
Let's see.
at
It's up to the
best.
players. Look, I don't play anymore, but that would be great motivation for
I'm
me.
just saying.
Not that I'd be listening to you, by the way. But as a player, I'd have enough motivation to want to win for myself.
If you were on the radio, I wouldn't listen to you.
Don't blame him.
Do you know, back in
Okay.
the day, it's interesting, I didn't even listen. I didn't buy Sky. I didn't have Sky.
Why? You're too cheap.
Because Andy Gray was having a go every time I played. So my dad said, don't watch it.
Because you
Don't
probably
listen.
wanted it for free. You wanted to put it for your own
Not
expenses.
at all. So I never saw Jim or do all those transfer window days you did.
You never saw me?
I'm sorry, but yeah, dressed in yellow silly ties. I never saw any of it.
Exactly
Oh,
right.
I tell you
Silly
what.
yellow ties.
But Martin, you are saying, and I think I'm picking you up on what you just said, if Arsenal were to lose to Palace, if
you've
somehow
gone for
that
that.
was to happen,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah, I think they're out of the race then. Yeah, 100%. They're not out of the Champions League.
strong,
They're not out of
Martin.
the Champions League race, but they're out of winning the title because look at City last weekend. And by the way, no one said it, but Pep was quite brilliant. He was sitting there wrestling with putting De Bruyne on. And it took until, 72nd minute when he went, right, do you know what? Let's play him. Let's introduce him. And that timing of his decision-making and then Bob coming on as well,
Yeah.
quite magnificent. I actually enjoyed, I shared in the joy of watching Man City. I didn't enjoy the 5
deflecting
trophies.
away from the
I
central theme, which is
I didn't
Arsenal.
enjoy the 5 trophies, but no, because that's the benchmark. That's
Right.
the team that everybody's got to go
But you
after.
shared in
So let's
City's
watch
joy.
them. Look
Okay.
how they managed to respond with De Bruyne off the bench. Quite magnificent. Let's say it. We don't talk
'Cause he's a
enough
good
about
player,
Man
that's
City.
why.
Okay. So I've gone 3-1.
Does anyone ever compliment Man City on what they do?
Martin,
Yeah,
I've gone,
all the time.
Not you.
I've gone
all the
3-1
time.
Arsenal to beat Palace 2-1. What would your take be? Am I
I've already told you.
Are you in the same territory?
I've already told you it's only 1 win in 9 for Palace. It has to be an Arsenal win. If you don't win, then they're not going to win the Premier
But we
League.
rested Eze midweek, so we've got a better chance.
Better chance.
Oh, what's this wee bit now? You're a Palace fan again.
I've always been a Palace fan.
I like
That's the reason I wrote checks out rather than took money out of football.
Okay, Arsenal against Crystal Palace, and it's a massive one for both. It's a talkSPORT exclusive, 12:30. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Martin Keown, who never listened to the radio but listens to it now because he's on it.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.